Hi, this is Jeff Lamb. Welcome to my podcast. It's called Losing My Mind. See, I've had this really interesting life so far. I've done things that I couldn't even dream of when I was a kid, dreaming of what my life might be. Well, I figured I better start putting some of these stories down somewhere before I really do lose my mind. These won't be in any particular order, and they're mostly for me, so I don't forget. But you're more than welcome to listen in. Podcast number 12. Okay, this is a weird one, and if I hadn't been there to witness it myself, I don't know if I'd have believed it either. But I decided to take my ex-wife to the racetrack. They had a lovely harness racing track here in Toledo. So I took her down to the racetrack. She'd never been before, and I'd been a couple times. I used to go to one in Swartz Creek called the Sports Creek racetrack. Anyway, there I am with my ex-wife, and she isn't quite ready to place a bet yet. She's looking for a name that's going to jump out at her. So I looked at some of the odds. I looked at this. But anyway, I picked a couple horses. And by about the third race, she finally, I love the name of this horse, number 6 horse here. Let's go with that one. So I said, okay. So we bet on it.
And they're off. Whoa, careful, riders, careful. We got a rider down out there. Okay, looks like he's okay. The race is continuing. There they go. And down the final stretch they come. Here they are. They're in first place, the number 3 horse, followed by the number 5 horse, and the number 2 horse. There's the number 7 horse, the number 8 horse, and the number 1 horse comes in and takes it.
Well, her horse is the one that threw the rider. And then it ran into a light pole and snapped its neck. Ooh. Right, I know. So then they bring out this backhoe, and they scoop up this dead horse. They drive through the fence, they put the fence back, and they're ready to start the next race in a few minutes. She's not ready to bet on a horse yet. She's still kind of shaken up from what just happened, and who wouldn't be? I bet on a horse, and that race comes and goes. And then we get about 2 more races down, and now she can't decide between 2 horses. She loves both their names, so she's going to bet both the horses. Okay, here we go.
And they're off. Whoa, careful, jockeys. Careful, we had 2 horses collide out there. Careful, okay, there you go. All right, everything's under control. The race is on. Off they go. And down the stretch they come. It's the number 4 horse, followed by the number 1 horse. Oh, and there's the number 3 coming in. And oh, my goodness, there's the 7 and the 9 horse.
No 6, no 8. It was her 2 horses that collided. One of them died instantly. The other one they had to shoot in the head. So she's killed 3 horses now. They've scooped them up. They've taken them through the fence. I used to work with the announcer at the track in radio. So I went up to talk to Ron. I said, you're not going to believe this. He said, what? And I told him, I said, my wife has bet on 3 horses. All 3 of them died tonight. He looked at me. He hit a button. Security came in, and he says, these people have to leave right now. We got thrown out of the track because my wife was betting on and killing horses. So I never got to go back to the track after that, and that was no longer a fun night out for me at the track. Shortly after Mark and I arrived at WXKR, we were invited to live in a trailer for a week for the March of Dimes. We're thinking, cool, we'll live ourselves in a trailer. It'll be easy. It'll be fun. We can broadcast live from there. It'll be great. Until we found out it was the back of an 18-wheeler. Just an empty box. Smelled like wood, no lights, dark, except when the door was open. That was the only light we had coming in. So the first night, the trailer was pulled into the parking lot at the rec center where the Toledo Mudhens played. Well, that particular night, they were playing the Detroit Tigers. So I got this brilliant idea. I went and bought a Mudhens t-shirt, and I took it into the Tiger locker room. Just walked in, and they were all kind of surprised to see me in there because they didn't know who the heck I was. But anyway, I was there, and I said, hey, guys, can we get this shirt signed to raffle off later for March of Dimes? And they all looked at me kind of weird and cockeyed. And they started signing it. Kurt Gibson was the first one to sign it. And then he threw the pen at me and said, this better be for charity. And I got a half dozen of the guys to sign it. It was cool. And we did raffle it off. Well, after one night in that trailer sleeping on sleeping bags and on this floor, I got this other brilliant idea. Just before we signed off the air the next day, I said, hey, if any of our sponsors would like to, provide us with a bed or some kind of a deal, a lamp or two in here. Next thing I know, Rent-A-Center pulls up with a truck. We got a couple of beds. We got a kitchen table, 4 chairs. We got some lamps brought to us, even a couple recliners. It was a pretty good deal. Now we've got ourselves a mobile apartment. We were moved to the Westgate Shopping Center for the rest of the week, and we had one more night to go. And we did our last phone into the station for the night and decided to run across the street to Arnie's bar and, toss a few back. Pull a few suds, as they say. We had a really nice buzz on, and my cell phone rang, and it was Channel 13, then the NBC affiliate here in town. Well, Jerry Anderson was the news anchor, and he wanted to do a live shot with us in the trailer. We said, sure. After we hung up, we realized that might have been a mistake because, going on the air hammered probably wasn't going to win us any points with management back at the station. There was no time to sober up. They were going to be here in a half hour. So we staggered back, tidied up the truck a bit, and the live truck pulled in from the TV station. So we start doing this interview, and Jerry Anderson says, how's it going, boys? And I told him that after a week in this box, I smelled like the inside of a wino's cap. Well, this struck him pretty funny, and he started to crack up on the air. So at the end of the interview, we invited him to come party with us, and he said, I'll be there. Well, we knew he was kidding, but for the most part, I think we pulled it off. And a few minutes later, during one of his commercial breaks, Jerry called us and said, I'll be there after the show with some of the crew, if you don't mind. We said, hey, the more the merrier. So about 12 a.m. that night, a small caravan of 5 cars came pulling up in the parking lot. Several people jumped out, and they had plenty of beer for all of us. And so our friendship with Jerry Anderson began that night. We partied late into the night. I don't know what time the last reveler left, but they left. I know that Mark and I had to go on the air in a few hours to talk about the event that was coming up in the parking lot. It was a carnival or some damn thing. I slept like a baby. That morning I woke up to Mark dropping beer bottles into plastic bags. Not a sound you want to wake up to when you've been overserved the night before. My head was pounding. Then Mark opened the metal rolling door. Bang, 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 bang. Boy, was that loud. It was deafening, and I was hungover, and I went from total darkness in the trailer to bright morning sunshine that was hitting me like a Mike Tyson left hook. Then more bottles, and finally, a bag drop. Nothing is louder than 4 full trash cans of bottles being dropped 4 feet onto concrete. A security truck for the plaza pulled up, and one of the drivers said, you know what, we'll get these out of here. That's not really a great thing to have laying around with a bunch of kids coming in an hour or so. Well, we got through the event, got home to a shower and bed, and it was just what the doctor ordered. Jerry Anderson would become one of our favorite guests. He was funny as hell and lightning quick, and he'd come whenever we needed him. Just a great guy. So there's the story of our parking lot party with Jerry Anderson and the crew from Channel 13. And the end of podcast number 13.